If you're logged into Office 365, you may receive an error when trying to log into Tango Reverse. So before you log in, please do one of the following. Open Tango Reverse in a different web browser than what you're logged into Office 365, sorry. For example, use Chrome instead of Internet Explorer, or open a private browsing session in your browser, whether you use an Internet Explorer, Firefox, or Chrome. So from your taskbar, just here's some examples here. Right-click on your browser icon and select the private browser session. So this is one way you can log into Tango by going to this link here, www.reversefunding.com/Tango, or you can log in through our partner portal. That's how I'm going to log in today. So when you're at our partner portal, this is basically our website for our partners. You can look at all the tags up here, become a partner, contact us, all this. But to log into Tango, simply click the login key on top here. And once you do that, you'll get a picture that looks just like this. The clouds with the light bulb, that means you're in the partner portal. You're logging into Tango from there. And simply put in your login credentials. This is a test credential that we use for training purposes. Oh. Okay, once you do that, you sign into our partner portal, you'll see Tango has opened up here, and you can go right to Tango Reverse. Now, once you open this up, you're going to see this is your pipeline right here. You may be thinking, well, I haven't used Tango yet. I really don't know why I have a pipeline. Well, a lot of your loans are being processed through Tango. So when you open this up, don't be surprised if you see a pipeline here. Now, there's a couple of things that you could do here that's important that you take a look at this. There's a couple of things you could do here. You could search. Once you've been using Tango for a while and you want to search for something, you could search by a lead or a loan number or borrower name or any of these other drop downs over here. Simply use this, the criteria you want to do and click in. If you have a last name, type in the borrower's last name and then click Start Search. You could also sort out by category here. So if you want to do it by loan officer, lead or loan number, borrower name, all these at top, the last date modified, all you got to do is click on these and it will sort by that. Another thing too, you'll see this Hide Me button right here. Now let's say, for instance, you've got a lead that you've been working on and it just hasn't been going anywhere. It's been sitting around for a while and you just don't want it to show up every time you open up your pipeline. All you simply need to do, let's just say, for instance, we've been working on this for a while. All you need to do is click on Hide Me, and that lead disappears, but doesn't disappear permanently. It's still in Tango. You could sort it out by the search filter here. You could click on Show All. You could click on Show Hidden Only. So if you have a bunch that you've hidden because you spoke to the customer and it just wasn't going anywhere for a while, but you have a bunch of those and you want to work on those now, just click on Show Hidden Only, and the hidden ones will show up for you, and you could actually unhide them here too as well. And then Show Unhidden is just everything, obviously, that you haven't hidden. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put in a lead. I just want to mention one more thing. If you don't see Quick Quote or Add Lead over here, it might mean that your company hasn't signed up yet to use Tango. What you can do is you can reach out to your AE or your RM to make sure that your company has signed the paperwork. Now, we could add a lead by simply hitting Add Lead or Quick Quote. I'm going to use Quick Quote. I like to use Quick Quote only because with Quick Quote you need a minimum amount of data, and then once you get that data in there, you get the numbers, and then you can add the lead to the pipeline and it will remain there. So let's do Quick Quote. And this is where we start to enter our borrower information. And all this information here with the stars, these are what you need to put in there with the asterisks, I'm sorry. This is the information that you need to put in there in order to save what you put in there. And one thing over here, when you put in the zip code, this here is the county lookup. You're going to click on the county lookup button. And once you do, this will automatically fill in with the county. However, what you want to do too is hit the drop down in case the zip code covers a couple of different counties. In this case, that zip code covers Cole, Osage, and Callaway County. So you want to make sure that you have the right county in here. We're going to stick with Cole. And then we're going to put in an estimate of the home value as well. And total liens. That's not necessary at this point, but I like to put that in anyway in case I do know what it is. Payment plan, this is where we choose the payment plan. We're just going to stick with a line of credit today, but if they're looking to do something else, and I'll show you this a little bit later on as well, if they want to do a modified tenure or a term right there, we could choose that here. But we're not going to go through that right now. Calculation assumptions. We're not going to play around with this today either. This is if you want to make any changes in the amortization rate, if you want to do it by the initial rate, if you want to change the property appreciation rate, if you think it might be a little bit lower where they are or a little bit higher. So we're not going to play with that today, though. Loan purpose. Oh, it's already showing. I don't want to hide details. Loan purpose, we have a refinance. If it's a purchase, to drop down purchase, and you'll put down here sales price and any earnest money. We're just going to do a refinance today. If it's a Heckam streamline refinance, just click that, and these open up here. Previous product type, check which product type that the previous product was, and previous MCA. But in this case, we're not going to do a streamline Heckam to Heckam. It's just a straight up refinance. Next, what you want to do is hit available products. Now, what you're going to see here, we give you everything that is available. However, if your company gives you a rate sheet, I would go with those options. Those are the ones that you're going to want to work with. So let's take a look at the options that we have here. And we'll just pick 3 to start off. We'll start off with, let's say, an annual 312. And we'll do a monthly as well. And let's pick a fixed rate. Let's do a 499 fixed rate. Then hit calculate. And once you hit calculate, it gives you all the products that you just chose. So all 3 products are here. Gives you some quick numbers, and everything is all in there for you to look at. Now what you got to do in order to add the lead, though, is you got to pick a primary product. So which one of these is going to be the primary product we're going to be working with? We'll start off with, let's just say, the annual 312. Once you do that, then you hit add lead. Lead has been added, hit OK, and everything is in there. So we got the lead information in there, product information, sorry. But you'll notice over here, cash flow analysis. This is always going to be working. Tango always tries to calculate the cash flow analysis. And let me open this up for you right now. So obviously, we didn't put any income or expenses yet, so we don't know what his residual income is for his region. So obviously, he's not going to meet that. But what Tango does, automatically, Tango starts working on comp factors. And the first comp factor that it works with, and the easiest one for it to work with, because it really doesn't require any additional paperwork, it's proceed dissipation. So what Tango did was it took available proceeds year 1 and 2, and then it took the borrower's life expectancy in months, and it divided that by his life expectancy to come up with additional income of $281.12 for adjusted income of $281, and the adjusted residual income is $281, still well below the required of $529. But then again, we haven't put any information in here yet. We haven't put in his income, we haven't put any assets, and we haven't put any liabilities either. So let's continue with that. So let's see what we got here. We got the borrower's first and last name. Let's put in his social security number. And now You'll see here bold text indicates a field that is required for loan registration. When it comes to Social Security, though, too, we also need that to pull credit. So that's why I always put that in immediately. And a red asterisk indicates that a field is required to save the screen. So let's start off by putting in the borrower's social. And then, very important over here, verbal credit authorization date. Sometimes I forget to do this, but the good thing is that Tango will remind you if you missed something. But we're going to put this in right now because when we pull credit in a little while, we want to make sure that that's in there. Then mailing information. Check off same as property. If it is a refinance, obviously. If it's a purchase, it's not going to be the same as the properties they're purchasing. We want their current address, so when we have to mail them docs or whatever we need to send over to them, we'll get to their current address. So since this is a refinance, it's the same as the current property or same as property. POA and guardian information. If there's a power of attorney, you hit the drop down. Let's just say for now there's one, and this opens up. And right here in this bracket, you just type in the name of the power of attorney, and that's that. But we're not going to do a power of attorney on this. Same thing with guardians. If there's a guardian, hit that and put the name of the guardian there so the signature is in there. But we're not going to use guardians or POAs today. And just to hide the details, you can either hit this or hit this to hide that, to close it up. Nearest living relative information. So over here, we open this up, and we put in the nearest living relative. And relationship, son, and that's that. So we've got that in there. Employment income. Typically, most of our borrowers aren't employed at this time in their life, but there may be some that are. They may be working part-time. They may be seasonal, just something to keep themselves busy after retirement. So if they do have any kind of employment income, this is where you would put that. Simply put the employer name, their start date. If they ended the job already, it's no longer their end date. Or if it's current, just check this off, and you see end date gets shadowed out, and that won't be needed in there. Okay, and then, well, let me close this up. Income information. This is where we get most of our income from. These are other sources of income, such as Social Security, pension, retirement income, whatever it might be. This is where we would put all of that. So let's start off. Let's say our borrower has Social Security income. And let's say he makes $1,600 a month. Now over here, this question here is very important. Has the income decreased in the last 24 months? Find out from your borrower if it has. Because if it hasn't decreased, check off no. And later on, there's a comp factor that will automatically kick in if it's needed, as long as it's checked off no. All right, I'll show you that a little bit later when we look at the comp factors that Tango uses. So make sure you get that from your borrower. And then you can hit add income. If this is the only source of income, all you need to do is hit save and it'll save it. But if there are other sources of income, hit add income and then put in the next source. Again, if that was the only one, just hit save and it will save it. Same thing for the whole screen. It will save if it's just the only source. But let's say this borrower also has a pension. And let's see that pension, he makes $1,200 a month. And no, it hasn't decreased. Okay, that's all good. Now he doesn't have anything else, so we could hit save here, but we're gonna go down also to asset information. Ask your borrower if they have any assets, because Tango does take into consideration any assets that the borrower may have, and it will dissipate that to help and use it as a compensating factor if needed. So in this case, we're going to say the borrower has a certificate of deposit with Fred's Bank, and the value is $20,000. And then account ownership. Is it solely owned? Does he own it with a co-borrower? If there was a co-borrower on the loan, like his wife was on the loan, does he own it with the co-borrower or joint with somebody else? In this case, we're just going to put solely. And then you can hit add asset if there's something else to add. But if there isn't, all you got to do is hit save. And when I hit save, it's also going to save the income and anything else that I put in here. So we hit save and then hit OK. Now we'll take a look over here to see the cash flow analysis now shows as green. And let's open this up and take a look. So the reason why it's green is we have total income, but we have no expenses. So without the expenses, his residual income is far above the 529 that's needed for his region for a family size of 1. So let's move forward and see what else we have next. Non-borrower information. If there was a non-borrowing spouse or a non-borrowing household member, this is where we would put their information. The non-borrowing household member, only if we need their income for to reduce the family size by 1 do we need to put non-borrowing household member. But non-borrowing spouses need to be put in, and this is where they would go. And it's the same information basically that we put in for the borrower. The only difference here is you see cash flow here. If you open this up, Tango will do a cash flow analysis to see if their residual income is enough to reduce the family size by 1. But we're not going to do that today. We do have an advanced class that goes deeper into some of these things that I'm touching upon. As a matter of fact, if you're interested, on the 23rd of January, we're going to be doing an advanced Tango reverse class if you want to find out a little bit more about Tango if there's something that we don't cover today. Next, we're going to go to property information. And just one other thing I want to show you here about moving through this. If you hit save and next, it will get you to the next screen, and which is the property details. So over here, we're going to put the property address. And the property address is 5002 Vander Court. It's a single family home. Number of units 1. Over here, gross living area, very important to put that in there. The reason why is we'll take the gross living area, and for utilities and maintenance expense, we will charge them 14 cents per square foot towards their maintenance and utilities expense. So let's just say it's 2,000 square feet. Okay. Then we go down to property taxes. Now over here we got a drop down. Now if there's a couple of different taxing authorities that the borrower pays to, you could do for each one: city, county, school, other, state, but you'd have to add each one in individually. Let's just say county for in this case. And let's see his property taxes, let's just say $9,000. Now is tax escrowed? Ask them yes or no. Even if they have a loan, they may be paying it on their own. More than likely, in this case, the borrower has a loan on the property, a mortgage already, and they're probably paying it through escrow. But if they're not, if they don't have a lien on the property, and they're more than likely, in that case, paying the taxes on their own, so taxes aren't escrowed. Make sure you know, because if they aren't, check no, because again, there's a comp factor that will automatically kick in if needed if they pay taxes on their own. And I'm going to show you that later. But in this case, we're just going to hit yes. And you can hit add tax, or you could just wait until later until you add anything else, like insurance information or homeowners association. So you can hit add tax if there's another tax. Like I said, if there's a city tax or school tax, or if this is the only tax, just leave that alone and hit save later. Let's see, utilities and maintenance. You see utilities and maintenance was automatically calculated once I put in the 2,000 square feet. Now insurance information. Up here we have insurance type, flood, HOI, everything. So today we're going to put in HOI, hazard insurance, and company name, Allstate. And we're going to say the annual premium, let's say he's paying, oh, there we go, $1,500 sounds good. Is insurance in place for the last 12 months? Yes. Is insurance escrowed? Again, very important. If they're paying on their own, check off no, and that will kick in that comp factor that I keep mentioning. In this case, we're just going to hit yes. We're also going to say that there's a homeowners association that he's paying to on a monthly basis as well. If they have a ground rent or other assessments, you could choose that here too. In this case, we're going to do HOA dues, and we're going to say the borrower is paying $2,400. Now we got everything in there, and we're going to hit save. And hit OK. Now let's take a look at cash flow analysis. Okay, still passing the residual income requirements. So we got his expenses in here, but it's not total expenses because you see we have the property taxes, HOA, insurance, and utilities and maintenance, but we haven't pulled the borrower's credit report yet. So we don't know what if he's going to meet residual income requirement for his region just yet because we haven't done that yet. So let's just take a quick look before I go and pull the credit report at the payoffs, debts, and liability screen. So this is where, once I pull credit and we merge it in, this is where it will show up. So in order to pull credit, we use Credit Plus. So right now, that's the only credit reporting agency that we use. We are working on adding some other credit agencies on here, but for now, we're using Credit Plus. If you currently use Credit Plus, then you could use your account. If you want to sign up for Credit Plus, about an hour after this training call, you'll receive an email, and in the email will be a link to sign up for Credit Plus. So let me go and show you how that works. Just do service orders, credit reports, and it brings you here. And now you just want to check out a couple of things here. Borrower information, social, you gave us authorization, report configuration, it's individual, and this is the borrower we're pulling it on. So hit add credit report type. And then we got to add, oh, let me just see. We just got to add our credentials for Credit Plus. Oh. And then hit login. And it shows here, if you logged in properly, credentials have been provided. And then hit save. You don't necessarily have to hit save, but I like to, but it pops up the submit button here. Now this shows credit report activity. We haven't ordered it yet, but in order to order it, we need to hit the submit button. But let me just show you here. You got this box here that says ordered, merged, success, and view. When you hit submit, if it's successful, it'll show yes here. If for some reason it shows no, all you need to do is hover over it, over the no, and it'll tell you why it wasn't successful. So let's hit submit. Sometimes it takes a few moments. Okay, beautiful. Credit report is saved. That's what we like to see. So once that happens, now it shows you ordered today. If we come back tomorrow and take a look at this, it'll show today's date. Success, yes. If you want to view it, you can open up the PDF form of it and take a quick look at it. And what we want to do, though, is merge it into Tango. So simply hit merge, and it shows merge today, and then hit save. So now the cash flow analysis is back to red. And let's take a look. Well, let's see. The expenses, the borrower's expenses went up quite a bit. Okay, liabilities monthly, $3,021. And again, Tango went for the compensating factor. The first compensating factor it always works with is proceed dissipation. And even using the dissipation, we still don't have enough residual income. He's still at negative 1,000, almost $1,200 in negative $1,200 in residual income. But let's take a look at the payoffs, debts, and liabilities screen where we once were before. Okay, so this is what it looks like once we merge it in. So let's take a look to see what we have here. We got auto, revolving, we even have a collection account here, and revolving, and we got 2 mortgages here. Okay, but remember, when I first put the information in on the property, I put down that he had a $200,000 mortgage, because that's what the borrower said. He said he thinks it's around $200,000, so that's what I put in. But this is the one that is on the property, this Washington Mutual mortgage for $203,000. So this is the one that we're doing it on. So we don't want to keep this in here because we don't want to double dip it. So to get rid of this that you put in quick quote, all you need to do is hit delete. Hit OK. And let's save it because I want to show you one other thing here. So we save that. All right, well, that didn't do enough to help the cash flow analysis, but look, the residual income went down by about $1,000. The adjusted residual income went down almost $1,000. Before it said negative 1,200, now it's negative 216. So we're getting a little bit closer here. So let's continue taking a look at the payoffs, debts, and liabilities here. So we see we have another mortgage here. Well, when I talked to this borrower earlier, he said that he also had another property, a property that he rents out. So that's what this mortgage is for. So let's take a look now at real estate owned. Okay, so he told me he has this rental property, and that is at 123 Main Street in any town, and we'll just pick any state and the zip code. An REO property type. Well, he told me it's a single family residence, and the disposition is he's going to retain it, or you could even hit rental, either one. And then you got to look here, mortgages from the liability screen. Well, this $203,000 mortgage is the residence, his primary residence that he lives in, and this is the one we're doing the loan on, so that's not the one. This is it right here, the $50,000 one. So we check that off. Are taxes and insurance included in monthly payment? We're just going to say yes. He told us yes, it is, so yes. And then once again, liability that includes taxes and insurance. It's this one right here. But he also told me that he gets rental income on it. And the gross rental income on this property, excuse me, he said was $2,000. I don't have his 1040s yet, so I don't know what the rental income or loss is, but let's hit add REO and save, or just hit save. Okay, it's been saved. Cash flow analysis changed color, but let me show you why here. We're going to open this one up for the rental property. And what Tango did was, okay, it took the gross rental income and it used a vacancy factor of 25%, so 75% of that is $1,500, and then it took out his monthly mortgage on that property, the $482, and came up with net rental income of $1,018. So that's additional income. So when we go over here to cash flow analysis, let's open that up again. Again, it didn't pass on the initial, but with proceed dissipation, excuse me, I apologize. So I'm sorry. This rental income lowered his debts on his rental property and added income to it, and we were able to lower it that way. But then Tango took first and second year available proceeds and dissipated it to come up with adjusted residual income of $1,283. So well above the residual income required of $529. So Tango is a great tool. It's always working to calculate to see what we could do, what compensating factors we could use to help the borrower. So let me just hit save. Okay. I just want to go back to payoffs, debts, and liabilities because I wanted to point one more thing out, and I'll touch upon it in a short while. We do have a collection account here. I'm going to show you what to do when there is a collection account if you need to put in extenuating circumstances. Now let's go next to the lead comparison, because there's a few things we could do over here on the lead comparison screen. Okay. So before I was showing you this a little bit, we were talking about the payment plan, line of credit. So over here, if the borrower wants to do a modified tenure, you could add that there. And let's say they say at closing they want a lump sum of $5,000, but they also want to get a monthly payment of $500. Hit calculate. Okay, and it'll show here cash at closing, 5,000, 5,000. This shows the maximum because this is a fixed rate. That's one lump sum, but it shows right there cash at closing, initial monthly payment for year one, and monthly payment after that. So we were able to change that to show that. It shows here that's tenure, modified tenure. If you want to change the primary product around, let's say you want to switch it to the monthly, just hit monthly there and hit save. Actually, I wanted to show you something first before I did that. Okay, but you see monthly is now our primary product. Now let's take a look over here under available products. So you see the monthly that we just switched to as our primary product, that's highlighted in green. Okay, if you want to change anything in here, for instance, the service fee, you want to add a service fee of $35, you could do that here. If you want to, let's see, the origination fee or broker credit, you could change this here, or even over here. You can highlight that and put whatever broker credit you want to put in there. Now let's say we want to add a few more things here. Let's say we want to add that for the comparison, and let's say we want to make the HECM annual number 2 on the list there, make this number 3 on the list, and the fixed we're going to leave at number 4 on the list. Hit calculate. And then go to the top and save. Okay. And then we get our new loan comparison. You can print the loan comparison if you want, but you'll see the monthly is still the first one. We left the annual as a second choice. Then we chose the annual 325 as our third, and we put the fixed rate 499 in the fourth scenario. And if you go down here, a couple of things you could do. Only with the primary product can you print the talc and print the amortization schedule, but you could view the talc and amortization schedule on every product, and you could also do loan forecasting. Again, the loan forecasting is touched upon in our advanced Tango class. And again, I stress if you want to learn more about some other features on Tango, to join us on the 23rd. Now, what I wanted to show you before, but I skipped ahead, I want to go back to available products. Let's say you spoke to the borrower and he's changed his mind again. Instead of going with the monthly 312, he wants to go back to an annual 312. So what you need to do here is check this to change it, calculate. You don't have to actually hit calculate, just hit save. My apologies. So check that and then hit save. Okay. And now it's saved, and the annual once again is the primary product. So there's a couple of things you can move around there. The lead comparison sandbox, I'm just going to touch upon this. It's basically what it says. It is a sandbox, and what do we do in sandboxes? We play. So we play in the sandbox. It won't affect anything. Even once you send the loan in, it will not affect it. This is just where you can play around and change numbers around. One thing I want to go back to on the lead comparison screen too. I just want you to pay close attention also to the estimated closing date. So let's say, for instance, we put this lead in today, and we ran the scenarios, we did everything, and the borrower's like, all right, let me think about it. And 3 weeks later, The borrower calls us back and says, all right, you know what, I think I'm ready to move forward on this application. You want to make sure that the estimated closing date at that point is still in the future. Very important. Excuse me. Starting to get a little hoarse here. I apologize. Alternate contact information. Copy nearest living relative of this borrower. That was the son that we put in there. Hit save. Okay. Interview information. These are the declarations that we have to check off. No, no, no. I'm just going to check through them. I'm not going to read every one of them to you. No. And then over here, government monitoring information, very important. And then interviewer name, all this information, make sure that's in there. Interview taken, how is it taken? Face-to-face, telephone. I'm going to check off telephone. Interview date, I'm going to put today's date. Now, application date, I'm not going to put that in yet, and I suggest that you don't put an application date in yet because there's something I'm going to show you in a little while. There's a reason why not to put the application date in right away. What we're going to go to next, though, is the good faith estimate. Let me take a look at that. Oh, now see, I forgot to save the screen, and when you do, Tango will ask you if you want to leave or stay. If you hit leave, anything that you put in here will not be saved. So let's save this. Hit OK. And now we'll go to the good faith estimate. Oh, I got a question here. Are you going to go through the fee sheet today and override? Well, that's what I'm about to do. I'm going into the good faith estimate. I don't know how deep you want me to go into it, but anything deeper is usually saved for advanced Tango, but I'm going to show you a couple of things here, okay? So let's see. Where, oh, here we go. So here's the good faith estimate. Here we have the origination fee. Somebody had mentioned broker comp, whatnot. Okay, so this is the broker comp here. So you'll see here, price at last disclosure 116, and used price is 116,927. Now the reason why that's up higher is at the initial disclosure of this loan or lead, the partner qualified for the broker comp bonus. So for that, if you're in the broker quality compensation program, there's a 25 basis point bonus, and for using Tango, there's another 25. But if for some reason you want to change that, if you want to use a different disclosed price, or if you want to use a flat fee, let's say we want to use a flat fee of, I don't know, 20,000. You just put it right there and save. And it shows right there, 20,000. And it shows up here too, broken compensation, all right there. If you want to change the origination fee, oh, what happened to me here? If you want to change the origination fee, let's say you want to lower the origination fee or raise the origination fee, whatever it might be. Let's just say we're going to do 5,000 origination fee. When there's a checkbox here under the override line, you got to check that to make sure it's that you override that. I'm going to go down a little further here. Anything you want to change here, let's say for instance the appraisal fee. In your area, the appraisal you think is going to be a little bit higher, and it comes in that's going to be 575. Well, we can just change that there, 575. This we don't have to check because there's no override over here. But let's take a look at title insurance. You know the title insurance company is going to charge a little bit more. Let's say they're charging $450. You check that, you put that in there, and you check the override box right there. So that's how we change all this in here. Now, add new fee. If there's another fee in here that you want to add, let's say, for instance, we got third-party tax verification fee. And the amount is going to be $50. Hit 50. Add new fee. Go back up. See, third-party tax verification fee has been added. And we also want to add service providers. We want to add a title company. And let's just choose, I don't know, First American. That's fine. And then if you're going to use the title company as a settlement company, just check here, add provider, and that's all in there. Now let's go back to the top. Okay, we got our primary product here that we checked off, the annual 312. Let's save everything that we did here. Okay, that's all saved, and then we could disclose the good faith estimate. Once you do that, the timestamp shows up here, initially disclosed on the 12th at 1:41 p.m., and everything is in there, and that's all been disclosed. Now to navigate back, let's go back to the document center, because that's where I wanted to go to next when I told you not to put in that the application date in. If you were to put in the application date in the interview section, the interview, or the counselor information. Let me just make sure, not the interview information. I'm losing my mind, folks, I apologize. Yeah, if you had put in the application date here, if we go to the Doc Center, hit print new documents, you would not be able to print the pre-application package if we had put in the date there. That would be gone. It would no longer be there. So if you want to print it, hit print selected or print all. It'll print everything here. And once that's done, then you could go in and put the application date. But let's take a look at the application package. In order to print up the application package for the borrower, you could select print all, and it will print everything here that the borrower needs. And then if you want to print up the copies that just you need, check this box. It'll check everything off, but we don't want to print yet because it's going to print everything all over again. You don't want anything that the borrower needs. You just need your copy. So uncheck everything underneath this line here all the way down. I'm not going to do that right now, but once you uncheck them, then you click print selected and it will print that for you. So we're going to hide that out now. Document print history. If we had printed anything out, it would have shown up here. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me show you. Let me go back to lead comparison. And I will choose print loan comparison. Okay, and there's loan comparison. All right, now we're going to go back to Document Center, Document Print History, and right there, it'll show you what we printed up, View. Oh, I'm sorry, here it is. And there's the loan comparison that we printed up. So all the documents that you print up, you can find here in the print document history. When you get documents that you need to upload, you go into image upload, and you choose what kind of document it is, application assets, whatever it might be, and you upload them there. But let's continue on to the financial assessment. So close to the end of the class. We got about 15 more minutes. So let me show you over here. Income from assets. So remember, we put in that certificate of deposit. So the application back in the print, borrow a copy, and a copy to be signed together. Do we have? Yes, you have to deselect a few docs and print the copies to be signed, exactly. Okay, so we put in the certificate of deposit. In this case, it was $20,000, and any other assets that we have will show up here that we put in. That's why I say whatever asset they have, try to put in here. If they had checking and savings, stocks and bonds, Roth IRA, whatever it may be. So here we put in savings and certificate of deposit, and in this case, it was $20,000. And what Tango does is it discounts it at 100% to give it a total discount value of $20,000. And then what it does, it totals it down here, total discounted value of $20,000. If the borrower needed any part of this $20,000 to bring to closing, say if they needed $5,000, that would show up here, and the adjusted discounted value would be $15,000. But in this case, the borrower doesn't need any of that, so we're going to give the total discounted value of $20,000. Next, what Tango does, it takes the life expectancy of the youngest borrower, and in this case it's 204 months, and it divides that 20,000 by 204 to give it total monthly income from assets of $98.04. Now let me just go back to borrower information quickly. And when we go down here to income information, we open this up and we see here asset dissipation. Tango automatically puts this in here as well. And also under income information, the rental income that we got from that other real estate that he owns gets added in here too. So Tango is moving things around and adding things around to make sure it's taking everything into consideration. Let's go back to financial assessment. So we got that. This shows that the residual income test failed initially, but it passed with comp factors. I'm going to show you the comp factors in a minute. If there are additional people that reside in this property, then we're not going to be putting them on the application. We're not running credit on them, and we're not looking for income on them if it's a child, for instance. This is where we would change that. We put 1 here. Override calculate family size. Check that. And reasons, just put children. This way they know it's a child. It's not somebody whose income we're going to be verifying or anything like that. Then we've got to go through all this here. Real estate taxes, yes, yes. Try to get through these quickly. Okay, so compensating factors. Tango will check off which compensating factor it used. And as I said, in this case, it used monthly income from dissipating available HECM proceeds that have counted results in residual income that equals or exceeds minimum required based on family size and region. Another option is if they have a non-borrowing spouse, combined residual income equals or exceeds minimum required based on family size and region. So Tango will go through all these, but like I said, the first one it will go for will be the dissipating assets because that's the easiest one to do. Nothing else is required, no paperwork is required, no other documentation. Now I kept pointing out a couple of things that you have to answer if they're no. Now that's for this comp factor here. This will automatically kick in. So it says here, if the residual income is 80 to 99% of required amount, property charges paid directly by borrowers and without penalties for the last 24 months, and current income is not less than income during the previous 24 months, this will kick in and it'll be the comp factor that Tango uses. Extenuating circumstances. I pointed out there was a collection account on the credit report. If there's extenuating circumstance for that, this is where we would put it. Let's just say due to unemployment and put whatever comments here to Tango and hit save. Now we're ready to go to loan registration. You see right now loan registration is red, so it means it's not ready. There may be some things that we're missing, and we'll click on that, and Tango will tell us what we forgot to put in. As I mentioned earlier, Tango will remind you. So we forgot to put in marital status, put on unmarried. Phone number is required. Years in residence, we'll say 30. Okay, years in residence. Oh, and date must be, now remember I forgot to put in the application date because we want to be able to print up the pre-application package. So let's put in today's application date and save. But before I register the loan, there's a couple of things that I need to do, which has nothing to do with what you're going to be doing in Tango. This is a dummy borrower and dummy social security number and address that we use for training purposes. So we've used him a few times, so we got to change this so we can register it without being told that this borrower's already been registered. And I got to change his social. Again, this has nothing to do with what you're going to be doing. This is just for training purposes only. And then, again, I have to save because I made changes here. And let's hope Tango accepts this borrower and doesn't recognize him. So once everything is in here, there's nothing up here telling you you're missing any information. Just click on Register Loan. Okay, and once you do, it'll say, thank you for registering your loan with us. Your loan number is, this is your loan number here. I forgot to point one thing out to you. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so the loan number shows up here. When it's still a lead, the lead number is the last two digits of the year, so it would be 17 dash some other number. So that's the difference. So it shows here that, excuse me, it's been registered. Now all you need to do is submit loan to RMF. It's been submitted, and it's on its way to being worked on. Now you see here conditions, it changed the conditions, so it means that we're going to be looking for conditions, whatever might be necessary to continue working on the loan. But let's click back to pipeline. And you'll see here, this is the loan that we just put in, and it shows the status it's been received. And let me point out, this is what a lead number looks like. Again, 17, so the last two digits of the current year, with a dash and a number following it, and it shows that it's lead here. So this is what the pipeline looks like once you go back to it and you got your loan in there. That's all I have today for Tango Reverse. We have a couple more minutes. Does anybody have any other questions while we have a few more minutes? Okay. It looks like there are no more questions. With that, I would like to say thank you for joining us today for Tango Reverse. In about an hour from now, you'll be receiving an email. In the email, there'll be troubleshooting guides, links to Tango Reverse videos, and again, a link to sign up for Credit Plus. And again, I want to invite you, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about Tango, on the 23rd, we have Advanced Tango Reverse that shows a few more features that we didn't have time to go over today. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful day.